Hello and good morning. Welcome to yet another wonderful edition of the paper review on Quest Television. It's a beautiful Thursday morning in the city of Ughelli in Delta State. My name is Alex Obunnaya. Today on the program we have 4 papers up for review. The dailies are Vanguard, The Guardian, Daily Trust and the Punch newspaper. So many stories begging for attention in front on the front pages of these papers, particularly Punch and Vanguard newspapers. But here to do this with me is Comrade Efe Odomo. Comrade, good morning to you.
Good morning, Alex. Always a very shining light in I'm not surprised seeing you here again.
Okay, always on duty.
Exactly.
Let's start off quickly to the Vanguard newspaper. It's really not a good one. Bandits now rape our women. Zamfara indigents lament. The full gist can be found on page 5 of the Vanguard newspapers. Below that one, Ogun governor announces palliatives. Okay, I guess hopefully this could cushion the hardship in that part of the country. Above the masthead of Vanguard newspaper, hardship, we can no longer pacify our subjects, northern monarchs, tell Tinubu. Edo 2024 LP aspirants back state leadership's position. Wigwe, US provides pictures of crash locations as Senate mourns. The sad one. Insurance premium income rise 25.9% amid economic hardship. And I think, okay, below the front page of the paper, Governor Abiodun votes 5 billion naira to tackle rising cost of food. Will that solve the problem? Comrade Odomo will answer that for us. Airfares, fears mount over likely shutdown as ticket prices rise. Pesero in talks with NFF over contract extensions. I think that man deserves it, considering what he did in Côte d'Ivoire, the tournament that just ended last weekend. Okay, that's that from the Vanguard newspaper. Next is The Guardian. Forex crisis pushes petrol subsidy to 907.5 billion naira monthly. Details are on page 6. We can no longer pacify Nigerians over hunger, hardship, Sultan wants. The story, we also saw the story on the front page of, on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Here, The Guardian says, we can no longer pacify Nigerians over hunger, hardship, Sultan wants. Retail investors in Lodge as fresh delisting plans near conclusion. Whatever that means, you can get that story on page 15. APC, INEC tender conflicting documents at Bayelsa Gubo Petition Tribunal. Details are on page 29. Electricity tariff to double as federal government considers hike over debt burden. That's on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. Wike places 20 million naira bounty on 3 wanted kidnappers in Abuja. Do they usually redeem their pledges when they make these promises? Senate begins constitution review as reps canvass return to parliamentary system in 2031. Out of school children epidemic and 68 billion naira UBEC fund. Power sector between subsidy, cost reflective tariff and service delivery. You can get that. That's a news analysis and it's on page 4. And let's see if we can sneak in one last one. Troops bust illegal weapons factory in Plateau State. That's on page 30. And that's that from The Guardian. Next is Daily Trust. Nigeria sitting on keg of gunpowder. That's according to the Sultan of Sokoto. The story is on the front page of the Daily Trust. It is captioned, Hardship, Nigeria sitting on keg of gunpowder. We will distribute 42,000 MT of grains for free. Federal government tells citizens no. Crashing food prices is better. This is according to experts. Can NBA demand concrete action. Zulum, Abiodun, Sanwo-Olu unveil measures. This is no doubt a lengthy read. The full gist is on page 4 of Daily Trust newspaper. Military bust gun factory in Plateau State. That's also another. We have a picture here of pictures here of the weapons discovered from the gun factory. Herders kill one, burn 146 houses in Yobe. FIRS faults Buhari's 2.59 trillion naira tax credit scheme on road construction. That's on page 10. And finally, power supply threatened as government owes gas companies discos 3 trillion naira. You can read up that story on page 19 of Daily Trust newspaper. And finally, we go to the Punch newspaper, and the lead story on the Punch newspaper, again, like every other paper that we've looked at this morning, and of course even yesterday, and maybe tomorrow too, they're talking about the hardship in the land. Punch captions his own. Tinubu governors meet over food crisis as Emir NBA laments hardship. President governors meet to proffer solutions. Monarch NBA laments economic crunch, insecurity. Federal government distribute free 42,000 MT grains. Ogun State government rolls out 5 billion naira intervention plans. And still on the front page of Punch newspaper, flying Wigwe, others in bad weather wrong. This according to U.S. aviation lawyer. Federal government to borrow over 2 trillion naira via bonds. This is according to DMO. You can read that story on page, let's see now, on page 23 of the Punch newspaper. And still on the front page of the Punch, technical problems through 14 Ogun communities into darkness. Sanwo-Olu begins 750 million trader money payment. Okay. And finally, ECHO on ground as sponsors intensified training for anniversary march. Okay. The Punch newspaper is celebrating its 50 years of existence. And I think it's a novelty game to mark the event itself. We wish them well, and we congratulate them from our end here. Okay, that's that from the papers up for review. Vanguard, we have Daily Trust, we have Guardian, and then we have the Punch newspaper. Okay, comrade, you heard all the headlines. Let's look at let's begin with the Punch newspaper. The hardship is really getting worse by the day, and the emirs are not even smiling. The other day we saw the Sultan, the Emir of Kano, telling Tinubu's wife, go and tell your husband that we are hungry, Nigerians are hungry. And today it is the turn of the Sultan of Sokoto, and these are respectable men or respected men in this country. And the Sultan is saying we can no longer pacify our subjects. The lead story on the front page, Tinubu governors meet over food crisis as emirs, NBA laments hardship.
Yeah, like Alex already said, there is a proverb that says, if hunger is out of poverty, then your problems are almost 80% solved. And an empty stomach is a devil workshop, because definitely you cannot keep your stomach empty for in perpetuity. It must demand for something, and when you don't get it, then you resolve into crisis. Actually, the hunger level at which you are looking at is more than what we are seeing on the streets of Nigeria. Because many people, many households can no longer even have 1 square meal a day. 1 square meal, they cannot afford it. And you are telling us that you want to do a food summit. Where is the food coming from? Solving this food crisis is not a big problem if the government actually wants to do it. But they've allowed it to spiral bound into every sector. They've allowed it to stay on ground for too long, and they're even confused on what to do. What is actually the beginning of the crisis of this food issue? It's not because of the bandit activities in the food basket states. Look at Benue. You hardly go to farm now. Even the few ones that go, most of them come back in a coffin. Some of their bodies are not even discovered at all. Then you go to Nasarawa. Nobody is able to go to farm. And you are talking of a food crisis, you want to solve the problem. Are you telling me, of course, that if maybe they were storing food, the government was storing food like they did in Egypt in the years of Joseph, and how much will that one translate into? How many people will that one feed if they open it at all? Because they say that they are voting money for are you going to import? Will you import garri? Will you import corn? Will you import pepper and tomatoes and all these things? Why don't you plug that area that the leakages are coming from, which is insecurity? If you are able to tame insecurity, everybody will go back to farm, and the food will come in a surplus again. Nigeria is never known to be a lazy country. We are known to be hardworking, industrious. But for some time now, because of the fear of the unknown, nobody wants to dare go to the farm again. There is no day you wake up, you will not read the news that herders clash with indigens,
farmers,
killing 20, abducting 100 women, and this and all that. And a lot of all this adoption, I've never heard that the government went into the forest and able to rescue these people. And they remained in perpetuity. There was one that that was released who said he was in custody for 9 months, for 6 months. He even escaped, not that he was freed. He escaped from captivity. 6 good months. Tell me, when he comes back, are they not going to rejig his brain again? Will he be thinking like a normal human being? Would that person not be told again that go to the farm and to go and plant a crop, and he will agree to go? So no matter the issue, no matter what the government wants to do, without tackling this security, the food problem will persist. You like it or not. You bring your goods from the north to the south, you are at risk. Anything can happen on the road. If they kidnap you and they take your trust, because in most cases that's what they do now. They ask you, the kidnapped victims, to bring food items for them. Rice, beans, pepper, and all this is part of their negotiation instrument
demands.
Now. So there is nothing we can do as far as we are concerned now. And the emir and the 2 emirs that have spoken, actually they are just echoing what everybody knows. But because they are in the vantage position, when they speak, everybody listens.
Listen to them.
It's just like when a small child, if you gas in the public, they give you a knock. But if for somebody who is there, at the top there, gasses, they will say, sorry, sir. You see, that's just the difference between what they said and what the people actually feeling. People trek from here, at times to Afisele Junction. How much is the money they'll be trekking on? Just 200 naira. They cannot afford it. Somebody, last week I took a vehicle. This lady stopped us. The vehicle stopped. Said, where are you going? Say, so please enter now. The lady now moved close to the rider and said, okay, I'm not getting money. 100 naira. I looked at the driver, look and said, where are they going to please enter? But where the driver will stop, it's still not up to where the lady was going. What did I do? I paid for myself and I paid for her. Because if the man drops her there, she will still travel from there again to where she was going. You can imagine the level of suffering. Now, when you see this lady coming, you say, wait now. This lady is up there. But coming down below, nothing. And that is what most people are suffering.
Let's deal with this issue. This time, daily trust. Hardship. Nigeria sitting on keg of gunpowder. That's the Sultan still talking. But we're taking the riders now. Government is saying they will distribute for the 2,000 metric tons of grains for free, according to the federal government. But experts are saying, no, that won't solve the problem.
It won't solve the problem.
Crash food prices. How can government crash food prices?
You cannot crash food prices. Okay, let's even start from the 42,000 metric tons.
Metric tons.
Where will it go? How many people will that one serve? Is it going to the farm or you want to give it to everybody? And don't also forget, we are with the factor we operate in Nigeria. If you push that into the market now or into the public, you know few people will still corner it. And it ends there. When you talk of palliative, how many people got the palliative? The one they did during the flood. I know somebody in my place who got one small tuber of yam, one ball of onion, one milk cup of beans and rice. And they put it on telly. Oh, they've distributed palliatives to people. That they cannot even feed a family of 3. That is husband, wife, and a child. But it was everywhere. They've given palliatives to people. They're talking of 42,000 metric tons. In a country of almost, let's even remove the Nigerians that are non-resident here. The ones that are resident here, we have close to 200 million, if not more. Where will that one go? And how will it get to the people? What will be the channel of distribution? Do you have the statistics to distribute this thing? Or you will tell them to come and register at the local government? That's why the whole day you will not get there? Now let us even now go out of this and come back to the main crux of the matter. Crashing the prices of food. You cannot control, economically, you cannot control what you do not have power in supplying. You cannot control it. You say that you crash the prices. Now if you not tell them that, okay, rice is now 77,000 going to 80,000 per bag. Rice will come to 20,000. Fine, you made the statement. Who's
going to make it happen?
Exactly. Can I import rice now? Landing cost in my office is 72,000, and you say I can sell at 20,000. I will just stop importing. Let all of us go hungry. That's just the solution to it. Nobody should go hungry. If the government actually wants to crash the prices, let them go into massive production. Then we will know that one day we'll get out of the woods. There is a company, because if I mention the name, they will say that I'm marketing them. Yes, because this is a public domain. They were having problems in procuring raw materials for their production. They do tea and several things. What did they do? They went up north and they planted the raw materials. That is called backward integration. Acres of land. And that is where they go to get their raw materials. Now those type of people, they can crash their prices because the source of procurement, they have it. Nobody is coming to bully them. But this one you don't have. You are not producing the people that are producing. The insecurity is driving them away. You are not doing anything about the insecurity. All those people that have died through these attacks, no compensation for them. I say want to crash the prices. I don't know how they want to do it. I don't know the magic they want to do it. Maybe they will go into the market with security forces and start forcing people to sell at a particular price. But I can bet you that will spell a very big doom. Even the cake powder they say we are sitting on is not going to. You are sitting on an atomic bomb, not gunpowder. Gunpowder is for chukuchuku. Nobody does that again. Nobody carries those type of guns anymore. So actually, we should have an economic summit that will address all these people. Cause spade is paid. Do not limit the members of that summit to your political party members. Do not limit it to your ethnic group. Do not limit it to a particular profession. Let those people who have the brain, who can see tomorrow, we have them a lot in this country, but they don't give them the opportunity.
I was listening to Femi Falana a couple of days ago on television.
Channels.
Yes, and he said that most countries, if not every country in the world, subsidize one thing or the other for its citizens.
Yes.
And that why is the federal government of Nigeria finding it difficult to do same for its citizens? And now my question is, did all of this happen or come about following the removal of subsidy on fuel? And if the president probably would want to admit his mistake, do you think that if we go back and say, okay, let subsidy remain, will things change?
You know, like the question you just asked, last week I was also listening to the news where a man walked up and said the destabilization of Nigeria is the handiwork of the Western world. And almost all the things we do here are 99% controlled from the West. And if you look at it thoroughly, the man is saying the truth. He brought out a book, a published book during the administration of Shagari, that if they allow Nigeria to stand on her footings, most African nations will be liberated. And they don't want it. They want everybody to be on epileptic level so that they can still have that direct control over them. And they will help countries to be economically sufficient, independent, and so on and so forth. And that is what they are fighting against. IMF have double policies, one for Africa, one for the European nations. Is IMF telling us that they don't actually know what is wrong in this our economy? Why must they be forcing us to devaluate our naira? Why must they be asking us to remove subsidy from power, remove subsidy from oil, remove subsidy from food, remove subsidy, so that they pressure the masses to perpetually be on their toes begging the government?
What do they stand to gain, these IMF guys and the World Bank?
Look, what does the white man, what did they gain when they came to pack our fathers? Not even carrying them. They packed them in trucks and put them in the boat. What were they looking for? What were they trying to gain by doing what they did? Let me tell you one thing. There are so many European countries that have no single mineral resource. Single mineral resource, they don't have it. They depend on Africa to survive. And by the time these African countries now survive on their own, if they are independent, fully independent, it will affect them economically and otherwise. Why do you think countries like Mali, Burkina Faso and Nigeria are pulling out of ECOWAS? Why do you think they are pulling out? Because they discovered that their own mineral resources, they will give them just about 1% of the value, and they take the rest. They don't have anything to sustain themselves. One guy made a proverb, well, not a proverb, of a parable, that when God was creating, when God was creating, he went to Europe and he made a very, very bad weather, bad soil, laced with that is all these calamities. And he put somebody with brain to be the leader. But he came to Africa, he gave us a very good land, very fertile, the environment is serene and everything, but he went to the pit of hell to bring somebody to be the leader. People laughed about it, but it was a very thorough analysis that he was making. If the day African becomes stabilized, the day African become independent, no fella sang it, that they have freed us, but we have not freed ourselves. The day we become self-sufficient, that yes, we no longer depend on these people again, you will see that most of those European nations will come down. How is it that they will tell you that African nations are corrupt? All the money is being taken from Africa. Where are they taking them to? Switzerland, that is the headquarters of receiving stolen funds. Why are they not classify them as a corrupt nation? What did the law say about corruption? Both the perpetrator and the accomplice, are they not equally guilty? They receive all these things from us and see they are not corrupt. But the Africans, where they took the money from, is corrupt. All they do is to make sure that they destabilize you, so that you don't have your footing, and they continue to have a direct control over you. That's just the game.
Okay, let's stay with Daily Trust. Let's go to the National Assembly, the lower house now. 60 reps proposed bill to return Nigeria to parliamentary system.
I think so. I think I will stand behind them because it is cheaper to run a parliamentary system of government. The executive we are operating is so expensive for us. We are copying American system of government, but we are not following it to the letter. How can you expect a hudud? Okay, now we have 36 states. Is it not?
Yes.
The ministries that we have at the federal, we have the same number of ministries in the states.
At the state level.
So if you have, assuming we have 36 ministers, you also have 36 commissioners in 36 states. All the positions at the federal are all in the states. And all of them, where do they get their income from? Is the federal allocation.
At the center.
Federal allocation. All the civil servants, they are not doing anything to shore the economic base of the country. So everybody depends on that pause. If they make it parliamentary system of government, most of all these parastatals will leave. And because of we are so used to free money, I can bet you we have too many people that will oppose it. But I think that's a solution to it. If you follow a road for 1,000 years and you discover that road is leading to no end, it's better you turn back. It's a Chinese proverb. If you miss your way for 1,000 years, on the 1,001st year, if you discover that the road you are passing through is not good enough, you turn back. There is nothing wrong in making mistakes and going back.
Accepting you've made a mistake.
Yes. The worst thing is you are making the mistake and you don't agree you are making the mistake and you know you are making that mistake. That leads to the issue of he who does not know. And he knows that he does not know. And still he does not want to know. It's a compound, yes.
Yes, I know what you mean.
So until we actually look at this thing, call spade a spade. This person did it, therefore I must come to do it. Oh, it is my turn to do it. Oh, it is my ethnic group that to do it. Shop for the people that have that capacity to run that organization. Why do you think that companies like all these multinational companies, they strive? Why do you think they strive? Look at some of these banks. There is a bank in Nigeria that they will tell you fraud is at zero level. Because every year they earmark part of the profit sharing to staff that there is no fraud. What we have made for the year's profit, this is the share of the staff. And because of that, everybody is committed to the job. Why do you think that no company hires a mechanic on the road to become a chief accountant in their companies? They need the technical know-how. They need the brains of these people. They need somebody they can call upon that at any point in time he will answer and he will deliver. If we can have that type of matured and robust employment policy, why don't we also have same in the federal government, in the state government and the local government? Why should somebody say, no, anybody with school cert or above should contest the presidency of a nation? How possible? How possible? You are using analog to run digital? In Nigeria of today, you are talking, that type of constitution is still operating. That's a minimum school cert. What is school cert? That you want to give the nation, trust the nation onto their...
But meanwhile, the minimum to get a job, or even maybe a teaching job now in university, I think is even masters or PhD now.
Yes. Masters or PhD. So how can you tell me, if you come, okay, that is standard. That one has been established for a long time. How can you tell me that if ordinary company, they want to employ an accountant, they ask for your CV, they start looking at your qualification, oh, as an accountant, yes, you're supposed to have HND, ICANN, added advantage. You want to become a medical doctor, you have to have a BBS, so, an advantage. But you are talking of the president that controls all these people. You say minimum of school certs. What can school certs think about? What can you think about? What? Okay. Until they amend that very issue. Even BSc is too low for Nigeria of today because everywhere is volatile. You will need somebody that the man is late now. A former chairman of one of the biggest companies in the world in Nigeria here, one of the biggest companies in the world. If you enter into his office is almost as long from here to the end of not this very screen, the other wall. Once you enter, there is no paper on his table, there is no Bible on his table. It sits like this. Everywhere is television. Has only one chair. So if you attend that came in, it's not his business. You continue standing until he finishes with you. And as you are coming, he's watching you. One day, one guy was forced and bold enough to ask him, "Sir, anytime we come here, we don't see you do anything. What is actually your work?" The man sat well and laughed. He looked at the guy. "Want to know my work?" I said, "Yes. I am employed to think for the company." And that's just my job. All these televisions you are seeing, I am monitoring the stock exchange market worldwide. And by the time I finish monitoring them, I send my report. This country is doing this country is doing that, this product is going like this company is doing this, they are benchmarking us, do this, do that. I close, I go home. That is why I am here. That's why they employed me, and that is why they are paying me. Now you will not tell the school staff to come and sit in that place. Do you remember a year, that was around 2016, one of these transport companies advertised for drivers to drive his trailers for cement and all this?
Yes, I think I remember.
Good. What was his qualification? Or what was the qualification attached to the application? BSc. Those who applied, more PhD people were applied than the BSc. And somebody came up and said, even me, I argued. I was still in Lagos then. I argued seriously. How can you